Let me see how we're doing on time. This is the one where I want to drill a little bit deeper. I got about 10 minutes. What I'm going to propose is I want to cover this one because this is a practical how to do coaching, teaching, and mentoring with your students using this particular tool. Okay, so this one came out of, this is the background for how I have coached my peer instructors and my graduates to use, and it puts into what I'm about to say in words on a page, so I'm not going to read it to you. What I want you to think about is the metaphor of a bullseye. And in the middle at 100%, let's suppose that would be perfect performance. When we look at our academic year, we realize there's 8 things that we have as top-level integrated performance qualities of our officers. We want them to be effective communicators who can meticulously plan, who can solve problems artfully, who can collaborate and play well with others. They can take charge of a situation that's grim. They can apply ethical judgment in the solving of those problems. They can use science when needed, as well as artful judgment. And they can use the best practices of creative and critical thinking and not be bound up in the doctrinal solutions, but they can bring some of this fresh approach together. So let's suppose that we asked officers on their first day in class to come with their understanding of where they think they are on that score sheet. You can't even get on the score sheet until you're at the 80% of effectiveness or marginal competence. And then imagine you could calibrate that to an 85 or a 90 or a 95 or 100. So we asked them to come to class in their first counseling session. Where do you think you are? And then where do you think the Army needs you to be now that you're going to become a major or a field-grade organizational leader? They're coming to us as direct action leaders in charge of 100 guys and gals. And they're the expert in that skill. That's why, and they were successful. That's why they came to our school. At the end of a year, they've got to be organizational leaders, soft power users, influencing through words and deeds at a distance, using organizational power. And so that's a tremendous shift in orientation. And they don't necessarily know what the Army expects of them at that level. So this is how we begin to discover their expectations. What do you think the Army needs you to be in each of those areas? And why do you think it's important that you can write well and speak well as an organizational leader? So not only are we getting their self-assessment, but we're also beginning to understand expectation management. What do they think the Army standard is? And then through a process of negotiation and evidence and monthly counseling and informal counseling, we begin to deepen our shared understanding of what the expectations truly are. So imagine that we had these color-coded targets. You know, if you shot at that bullseye with a rifle, and you might score, and then the closer you are, the better. This would not surprise me to have a typical officer come in and say, well, I'm not all that creative and critical as a thinker, because they're humble, and I don't really speak good or write too good, but I guess I can meticulously plan at the basics, but I'm not that good. Although I'm better at artful problem solving than I am at meticulous detailed planning, but I can sure collaborate with others because I'm a good team player. And if you put me in charge of this thing, I'll find a way to get through it, and I will take responsibility for the results by leveraging all the guys on my team, but I'll own the results and protect my team. And I will use ethical judgment because I know right from wrong, and I know a little bit about the science of my craft, but I hope to come to this school to learn more. So that might be a typical in-processing, humble officer who is yet confident about where they are. So if we started with something like that, I could then take a look at how in each of those dimensions we can use our curriculum to get better at each and every one of those. And I might design some educational experiences that let me get better at more of them at the same time and do multi-echelon training. So if I drew the area that connects all those points, what I really want to do is minimize the area. As I get every one of them closer to 100, I get more and more focused on the quality officer who has integrated all of these at the end of the day. If you put this as a fitness landscape, this close hill is their experience with Army challenges as a small unit leader and what they learned on how to survive. And that is different than what it takes to climb these mountains of organizational leadership. And we have to make them aware that all of these other disciplines allow us to go around this mountain road to the top, and that you're going to have to use elements of history and leadership and strategy and tactics far beyond your direct experience. You have to learn the craft of your profession in order to get to the top of this mountain, because you might be able to sprint up a hill, but you can't sprint up a mountain. You're going to have to take that long, deliberate professional journey and be encouraged by others that are further up that spiral mountain than you, and you can give encouragement to those below you. And that's why teaching, coaching, and mentoring matters. So what I would finally offer is that in general practice, you could take any of the educational outcomes that any of your graduate programs aspire to teach, whether that's MBA or marketing or accounting or finance, engineering, police, medical, whatever it may be. If you know what those top level achievement goals are, those knowledge, skills, and attribute, you could fill in the gaps here and then define what you mean by excellence in each of those areas, and use this as a way to not only understand the details of the professional knowledge base and what counts as expertise, but it would also give you a vision of the holistic total person where they are. And so that's what I want to say about that one. Yeah, as an example, this is one where we took a master's program in international relations and policy for civilians, and we said, in addition to all of those other command and general staff college qualities, we wanted to give these guys some insights into the world of diplomacy and economics and military power and information operations. And so you can have as many dimensions as you want. And as long as you use this same kind of model that you're moving towards 100, you can use this to help guide your intuition about where should I spend the next week of class or the next hour of effort, getting deeper in an area of expertise or developing some other area that is less developed so that I can be broadly effective. So this visual development model is a very nice metaphor for how to balance the challenges of professional education as a coach, teacher, mentor, and as a student. You can self-assess. You can use it to help discuss professional expectations between you and a licensed, skilled practitioner. And it not only helps as a self-assessment tool, but as a developmental tool.